I moved! Hello everyone, hope you're all having a good, amazing day and night wherever you are. If you don't know me, my name is Dollyboy. I'm an artist, writer, and drag queen here on YouTube. And today we're gonna be doing a little updated, fun makeup tutorial. Making very cold girl, very icy, very...
On your season, she had on a fur coat and she walked to the end of the runway and she went, choo.
Before we get started, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. While you're down there, might as well go like the video. Comment if you want to see any looks from me, tips or things you want to know how to do, anything, videos, suggestions. So I'm going to show you how to turn from this. And then editing, like you can put in the, you know. Before we get started, I'm going to throw my hair up in a wig cap and I'm going to show you how I glue down my eyebrows. So, 1 second. She's bald!
She's bald! She's bald and she's torturing people who have hair!
So for gluing down eyebrows, I use an classic Elmer's glue stick. Make sure your brows are all cleaned. What you could do if you have really long brows, kind of trim them up a little bit, make sure all the hairs and stuff are a little bit neat and tidy. First thing I do is I'm just gonna wipe this glue stick, just get it smeared all into the brows, going against the grain, and I just put as much glue as I can. It doesn't matter if it's really messy or not, because we're gonna comb them up in a second. Make sure you're going in like circular motions, going back and forth, making sure all the glue is in there, nice and snug. Then you're gonna take either a comb or a spoolie like this. You're gonna just brush all your hairs up and kind of going in that direction almost. So at the front here, you're gonna brush them up, and then towards the end, you're gonna brush them more towards the temples of your face. And this will help a little bit later when we're mapping out our eye shape, and it also helps them so that they're not wanting to stick up whenever you're putting layers of makeup on top of it. Once you have all that down, I like to go in with a second layer of glue and just kind of reinforce the direction of the brows. So whatever direction they're going in is the direction you're putting the glue. You can also glue down your sideburns, but I just got a haircut, so I don't really need to at this moment, and I'm just doing this for this video and just taking some pictures, so I don't really care at the moment. Now, you can either wait till these are dry completely, you can use a blow dryer to get them down to dry quicker, or you can buy one of these mini fans if you're performing out in Florida heat. Also, I guess I completely ignored that. I'm no longer in Florida anymore. I moved to North Carolina, so this explains the whole change of scenery. So you can get one of these little mini fans, and then that'll help dry down these brows quicker. You want them fully dry for this first layer at least, or first and second layer, and then we'll go from there. Once that glue has mostly dried down, and you can tell because it's the purple disappearing one, so it should be nice and clear, you're gonna go in with another layer of glue, same thing. You're gonna be a little bit more gentle this time. Just keep going in that same direction that your brow hairs are going. And this time you don't need as much glue, but we're still gonna try and reinforce that so that nothing sticks up when we're trying to redraw our eye shape. And if you get glue like anywhere on the sides, or you just want to clean it up, you can just use like a little makeup wipe and just go around the edges. And then same thing, we're gonna let this layer dry, and then we're gonna go in with one last layer after this, and then we're gonna powder it. Once your second layer is completely dried down again, and you can't feel any of that tackiness from the glue, you're gonna do something that may or may not be great for you, but this glue is non-toxic anyways, and other drag queens have done it and they've survived, so. You're gonna take your glue stick. Ew. You're gonna lick it. If you don't wanna do that, you can have like a thing of water right next to you and kind of wet the glue stick. But either way, you want it to be wet. You're gonna go in with like one swipe and kind of just smooth everything out. And I've done this so many times that I don't really care anymore. Am I gonna get cancer from it or something? Probably. Then you're going to take some translucent powder or just any other setting powder. Let this dry just a little bit so that it's a little bit sticky. You're gonna take either the back of your beauty sponge or just like a powder puff like this. Good amount of powder. You're gonna lightly go over it first, and then you're gonna press it in there really firmly.
Firmly grasp it in your hand.
So you wanna go in light just to get that initial covering, and that you don't disturb any of the layers of glue underneath it. And then you go in firmly.
Firmly grasp it!
so that everything really stays in. And I like to do sort of like that kind of motion. And then you can take a fluffy brush, big one like this, and just kind of wipe off the excess. And you know that you're in a good spot, and you can like turn your head and you can't really see any of the hairs anymore. If you can look in a mirror and it looks really smooth, like from all angles, then you should be good to go. Now that we have our brows all covered, I like to start on skin prep. I use either two ones. I use the Poreless Putty Primer or the Power Grip Primer from e.l.f. This one I like to use if I'm just taking pictures and I just need my skin to look really smooth. And then this one I use for actual drag performances because it really helps the foundation stick and everything stay on for a good while. I think I'm just gonna use this one today. Put a little bit on my fingertip here, and then you're just gonna get it in the places that really are like your T-zone, the front here, a little bit on the forehead. This one's like a pore filling one, so especially on like the nose and everything is where you want to start out first, and then a little bit on the forehead, and then I just kind of blend that out everywhere else. Next thing I'm gonna do is gonna color correct my mustache, my beard, my under eyes, and my sideburns here. I like to use a liquid lipstick. This one is from Wet n Wild. It's the Mega Last Liquid Katsu in the shade Nudist Peach. I go on really lightly because I don't want my skin to be completely orange. I just want enough so that it changes the color of where I'm putting it. And then I'm gonna take another one of these puffs, or you could use a beauty blender, and I'm gonna blend that in a little bit. You could also buy an actual like color correcting concealer. I didn't, but also these liquid lipsticks are super cheap, so I feel like it does a really good job. So I'm gonna get my under eyes, and then on my sideburns here.
12 seconds later.
Once you've got everything all color corrected, now is the time for foundation. Before, I would use this Maybelline Fit Me. It's the matte and poreless one. This is in the shade 125, if you were wondering. This is a really good foundation. I think it's only like $6 or $7, but I've also now moved on to the other Maybelline, the Superstay 30-hour one. This one is really good for like stage performances because it's really thick, but it also has a lot of good coverage. And for a drugstore foundation, it does a really good job. This one is like 12 or 13, so it's a little bit more expensive. But if you're just doing drag makeup for the first time, I would recommend going with this one. That way you're not spending a whole lot of money on foundation. But I just pour it onto the back of my hand, and now I'm just gonna cover my entire face in foundation. And I want to focus more so on like the central parts of my face. I need a little bit more coverage, and then I can blend out to the areas that don't really need it. Also, don't forget your ears and your neck. Next, I'm gonna work on my highlights and contours. I like to work on my highlights first. What I like to use is this white Mayron cream blend stick and a nice flat brush. This is the flat eyeshadow brush from e.l.f. I just kind of go in with this, and I'm gonna start working on my under eyes, do a little bit on my forehead here, run it on the nose, a little bit underneath my nose. So I start here, and then I blend it, and I angle it up on the side here. And with white, for your highlight, you wanna be a little bit careful, because if you use too much, then it can start to make your face look gray. So you'll just have to figure out what works best for you and how much you either need or don't need. And while I'm working on the side of my nose, I'm gonna bring it in a lot closer than the natural sides of my nose, because then it's gonna give us a nice guide when we work on our nose contour. And if you don't want to use white, you could just use like a really light concealer or a really light foundation as well. So then I'm going to take a little bit more of that white, highlight just underneath my nose, above the lip, do a little bit in the center of my forehead here, wipe off some excess, kind of blend it upwards. And then I'm going to take a little bit and then start working on the highlights of my nose as well. This we're going to clean up a little bit later, so I'm just getting a rough guide to start with. And make sure when you're working on your makeup, you look at all different angles, especially from head on, but also from the sides and stuff, to make sure everything is working out the way you want it to. So with that same sponge, I just kind of blend that into the foundation, get everything nice and smooth. Now we're gonna work on contours. So I like to use the 16-hour Camo Concealer. I go with a little bit darker shades. So this is in the shade Deep Cinnamon. And then for like my ultra contour, this is Rich Ebony, but I only use like a little bit of this. But this is my main contour color. So I'm gonna go on the side. I'm just gonna start on the edge here. I'm just gonna swipe on the sides here, right about where the line where the end of my lips and the start of my ears are. I'm gonna create a nice beige rainbow on my forehead, and then same thing on the other side. And then also gonna work on my chin as well. And then I'm also gonna do a little bit on the end of my nose here. We'll work on our nose contour in a second. Then we're gonna blend all that in. And this, I'm taking the side of my beauty blender. I'm not gonna focus on blending downward. I'm gonna focus on blending up. And that really gives us that dramatic reshaping of the face. Especially if you're doing for stage, you really want to make sure that things are a little bit darker because lights and stuff like that are gonna kind of wash you out a little bit. Also, it's drag, so like have fun with it. Once all that's nice and blended, then I go in with my really dark concealer and I wipe off as much as I can. And I'm just gonna do 2 dots more towards like the bottom of where my cheekbone would be. One in the corner here, one in the corner here, and then same thing on the other side here, and I'm gonna blend those in. And I like these concealers because they blend out really nicely. They're really pigmented, and I think they've got a lot of coverage to them, and they blend really nicely as well. Can I say that already? I don't know. And I also like doing a combination of cream underpainting and then doing with powders and stuff afterwards because I feel like it gives you that really nice and blended look. And see, it really doesn't make that much of a difference color-wise. It just adds that little extra bit of shadowing. The more color you use, the more realistic it's gonna look. Now, I'm gonna go in with my little not so secret hack. I really like bright pink blush. I like this before. Candy Muse had done it on All Stars 8. I'm actually gonna put up a picture. This is one of my favorite artists, Happy D artist. And some of her paintings, you can see like the makeup and stuff that she does. It's like really highlighted blush and everything. So that's where I kind of got my inspiration from it. It's a little bit like 80s inspired, I guess. But I go in with another Mayron cream stick. This is in the pink shade. And I like to put this right at the top of where my cheekbone would be, almost where you would put your highlighter. And I like to kind of stamp that on there. Same thing on the other side. And I do a little bit on my nose as well. Sometimes if I'm feeling like a little extra fancy, I'll do it on my forehead as well if I really want to be blushed up. But yeah, let's do that today because we're doing that cold girl look. And then we're really gonna blend that in as well. And then my nose, I'll just blend out a little bit more, almost like a clown type of look. It's fitting. Once we're all done with all of that, we're gonna start working on shaping our eyes and our brows and then our nose contour. So I go in with the white Mayron cream again. And from where my brow would start, I'm basically gonna take this brush and cover up most of my brow because this is where I'm gonna start it. But all of this is gonna eventually become my lid. So I angle it upward and then I turn my head to the side and then basically go straight on. And then just kind of run it out a little bit. So it gives us a whole lot of room for us to work with because I like my eye to be a lot bigger than my normal one. And I like using white because if you're using bright colors and everything, it's really gonna give you a nice base so that everything becomes nice and saturated. But one thing you can also do is you can get yourself a flash palette like this that has all sorts of different colors. Mine's really messy right now because I just did my Dawn makeup recreation.
Rise and shine, mother. It's Dawn.
So it's covered in blues right now. But you can get yourself one of these. You can map out everything with your cream colors and then you can go on top of that with your different eyeshadows as well. And then also keep my Bijou Bentley sticker. And that palette I got on Amazon. It was like $15 or $20. Wet n Wild makes some really good ones that you can get around Halloween. I think they sell them year-wide, or year-round. And I'm also gonna get it on my lids as well. Again, not as much because we're gonna go back in with this one more time later on, but just to give us a nice base, I'm just gonna blend that in a little bit more. Now we have a whole lot of room for us to work with. Now it's time for brows and our nose contour. For my nose, I go in with that same lighter contour shade. I take a small little angled brush, it's the same one that has our spoolie on it. Gonna wipe off some of the excess makeup that's already on here. To think, I just cleaned my makeup brushes. I'm gonna take a little bit of product and I'm gonna start at the edge of where my natural brow is. I'm gonna go in really lightly and I'm just gonna bring it in as close as possible. And nose contour is hard because your instinct is to go to where the edge of your nose normally is. But if you really want that like snatched nose, you wanna bring it in a lot closer. And I'm also making that like triangle shape again. And I'm just gonna blend that a little bit upwards into the start of our brow. And then with that side of the angle brush, I'm just gonna take whatever product is on there and just kind of blend that into the side. Back in with our sponge and just kind of lightly blend all that in. Not so much on the inner parts because we're gonna keep that nice and sharp, more so on the sides. And if you mess up, you can go back in with your old brush. I'm not gonna use any more product on it and just kind of clean up those edges a little bit more. Now with our same angled brush and our same contour shade, I'm gonna start working on the brows. So I start where my brows normally are. I'm gonna angle them upwards. And this I like to use, especially if I'm wearing lighter hair, because it has that like more blonde-ish tone, and I also don't have to worry about getting another product. So I followed that line that we did before, and you can clean up with white or anything afterwards. And I'm really gonna thin it out at the end there. So I like to take the brush and almost keep stroking it, but move my head more so. And then more towards the center here, I'm just gonna take the side of that brush again and just kind of flick everything upwards. And this is, I just get the base of my brows, and then we'll go in with our brow pens afterwards to get those different hairs. Now, I'm also just gonna do a little bit of our darker color and just focus that more so on the ends. This isn't something that I always do, but I just want a little bit more definition for the brows today. So again, I'm only gonna focus that at the tail ends of where my brows would go. Make sure everything's all nice and blended in. You can go back in with your whites and just kind of clean up under those brows and help really sharpen the ends of it. And then sometimes I like to just highlight on top of it just a little bit to give it a little bit more definition. Not necessary, but sometimes I like to feel fancy. All right, once you have all your creams and stuff set down, we're gonna go back in with that powder puff from earlier. We're gonna take some translucent setting powder. This is from Mayron. I don't love it. It gets the job done, but I feel like there's better ones out there. So first off, I'm gonna start by under the eyes, the nose area. And another tip before powdering and stuff, make sure like all your creases from like moving your face around, make sure those are all blended out, and then set your powder in. Otherwise, if you set those like creases in, they're not going anywhere. And I just powder everything over and really beat my face. The more the better, really. Also, don't forget about your neck and your ears, because we put foundation and stuff on those as well. All right, this is the end of the tutorial. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe and like the channel. You get the joke. So then I take whatever powder is left over on this little lid, and also whatever I spilled onto my desk here, and I take a nice big fluffy brush and I just kind of go over everything else and kind of wipe off all that excess powder, so that I can ensure that everything is all set in and none of our cream products are going anywhere. Once you get everything all set, you're gonna notice that some of it starts to look a little bit, just kind of mellowed out a little bit, not as saturated as it once was. So that's why we're gonna go in with our powders and stuff now. I take this bronzer from NYX. Mine broke, so I kind of meshed it all back together. This is in the shade medium. And then I take an angled brush like this. This one is from e.l.f. as well. Start at the back of my face here, and I just kind of blend, almost scooping where my cheekbones are placed. And then whatever's left on the brush, I can just kind of bring down a little bit and warm up my cheeks a little bit more. Then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side, and then I'm gonna go in on my forehead. I kind of go around the edges first with where most of my product is, and then I bring it in a little bit more. Work on my jaw a little bit, and then whatever's left, I just kind of blend into my face just to give it up a little bit more warmth, and also on my nose as well. Then what I'm gonna do is work on my powder blush. I go in two different ways. I go in with this Summer of Love blush palette from Trixie Cosmetics. This is the shade Side Chick. I take a nice little dense blending brush. This is the Ultimate Blending one from e.l.f. So I pack it onto the brush, and I focus it again more so on the high parts here, and I kind of stamp it in almost, and then blend that down on the side. And then later on, but this is also a tip if you're trying to save money, you don't necessarily need blush, you just need a whole bunch of different eyeshadows. I think a pink and an orange, that's all you really need, especially with eyeshadows because they're a lot more pigmented, and if that's something that you want with your drag face, they work a lot better than just like normal blushes. I just like the way this looks, and I like the shade of pink. Then I'm gonna take whatever's left on this brush, put that on the end of my nose. I'm gonna do a little bit on the sides so that we can kind of get that freezing cold look too. And then just a little bit on our temples as well, where we put that cream blush earlier. Also add a little bit to my chin too, because why not? Perfect. Once you're all done with that, now we're gonna start working on eyeshadow. Now, because we're doing this kind of cold girl look, I want to do some blues and some silvers, a little bit of glitter as well. So today I'm going to be working with some Kimchi Chic Beauty palettes. This one I'm first using is the Donut Collection in the Rainbow Sprinkles. This is the first one. Got a lot of bright colors in it. I'm also going to be using this Two Queens One Desert, the Naomi Smalls collab. Gonna use using some of the shades in here. I'm also gonna be using this Stupid Love eyeshadow palette that I love very much. They sadly don't make it anymore, but I love the colors that are in here. So we're gonna be using some of the blues in there as well. And we're also gonna be using my favorite shade, which is this black glittery eyeshadow later on. But before we do, I'm going to grab myself a smaller, dense packing brush. I use a lot of e.l.f. makeup brushes because I think they're the best for their prices. I don't like to spend a lot on brushes because I'm cheap, and I feel like these get the job done really well. The smaller blending brushes I like for packing on color, and then the other white brushes I wouldn't really go for, but all of their like lines of the black ones are the best brushes, I think, at least for beginners too. So I'm gonna start out with this one, and we're gonna go into the shade Blueberry up here. We're just gonna pack that onto the brush, and we're gonna start mapping out our eye shape, working on my wing here. So in a like stamping motion almost, I'm gonna place where I want my wing, and this color is super light, which is what we want. And you can see where we put that white earlier, it's almost kind of giving us a guide to where we need to put everything. So that's why we kind of do all that stuff before. And then just kind of blend that in a little bit. And now we're gonna work on our crease up here. Now where your brow cover is, you wanna be a little bit more careful. You don't wanna be like scrubbing your brush in it, otherwise that's gonna lift the glue up. We're really gonna go in with just that packing motion. We're essentially putting our crease where our brows are. And I'm gonna blend that into the brow and that start of the nose contour a little bit. And you can already see where like our eye shape is starting to take place. And I'm gonna leave this part blank because that's where we're gonna put my liner and crease later on. So I'm just gonna basically create that shape and start blending out to where our brow bone is. Once we have our first light shade down, we're gonna go in with our next shade. So I'm gonna move into the Naomi Smalls Kimchi collab, the Two Queens, One Desert. I'm gonna go in with this medium blue shade here called Oasis. Gonna take it on that same brush, and I'm gonna start working on the outer edges of my wing on the side here. Actually, let me do it on the side, it'd be easier to see. Again, pack that onto the brush, and we're going in a stamping motion and then blending it out. I take my shadow all the way up to the hairline because I want big drag makeup. Now, if you're worried about shadows underneath your eye here, you can put some loose powder under here. I don't really care, honestly. And then with our crease on the side here, I'm gonna go just under where we put our light blue shade. And with our medium one, again, I'm gonna pack it on. And we're really gonna start working on creating a three-dimensional look of defining our crease. And I'm also taking into account how I want my eye shape to look. Then just blend that in a little bit more. And then same thing on the other side. Once we get the medium shade all set and done, I'm gonna go in with a deeper blue shade. This is 6 p.m. Sky in that same Two Queens, One Desert palette. Same brush here. And again, I'm just gonna bring this, and this one's gonna go a little bit more inward. And we're gonna, again, continue defining that wing and the crease as well. And this one, for the deeper blue shade, I'm really just gonna focus that on the bottom more. And you'll see when we cut the crease later on, it's really gonna give us that three-dimensional look, and it's gonna give us a nice sharp crease. I'm gonna bring that blue shade up just a little bit as well. Then again, same thing on the other side. All right, once you have all your blue and stuff set down, I'm going to use, I guess, this smudging e.l.f. brush. I'm gonna go back in with the light blue blueberry shade from the first palette. I'm gonna start working on the shape for my inner corner. So instead of following where my natural under eye goes, I'm gonna go underneath here. You can already see I've added some blue. That's just a little bit from the fallout. I'm gonna angle a little bit downward. I'm just gonna blend that up a little bit. You can kind of see right here that we're also kind of making that like snatched up angular look to the eye. And then again, same thing on the other side. With this light blue shade, I'm also just gonna blend out the bottom here as well. Now what we're gonna do is with a smaller little tapered brush, I'm gonna go in with the black shade of this palette. It's called Suit Yourself. And I'm gonna start working on creating this smokiness for our eye and just deepening this crease one last time. I'm just gonna gently blend this black, start creating the last bit of our wing. And it's really gonna give us that smoky, really blended eyeshadow look. I'm gonna pack it a little bit more towards the crease and the lid here, and keep it nice and blended out. And then for our crease over in the center here, I'm just gonna keep it really concentrated towards the bottom and only in this like inner corner part here, and just blend it a little bit out towards the edge so we get that really nice and defined shape later on when we cut it. And again, black can be a little bit unforgiving, so if you don't trust yourself or if you're working with a little bit of a looser black shadow, you can powder underneath your eyes, but I trust myself most of the time. And last, we're gonna take the black glittery shade from the Stupid Love eyeshadow palette, taking that same tapered brush, a little bit more packed in. We're gonna go over that with our black glitter. Just because I think it packs a little bit more of a punch, this shade specifically. And who doesn't love glitter? I just like the way that it looks. But I'm not only gonna focus it on this outer wing part here. I'm not gonna put it in this crease area that we have. Lovely. Now we're gonna work on cutting our crease. So we're gonna go in again with our cream blend stick, this same flat brush, and we're just gonna cut right into where we blended in so that it creates a nice sharp crease. And with this, before I would just kind of look at it from one angle, but now I look straight on ahead in the mirror and I find where I started out, and now I'm kind of mapping out above where I would normally put it, just so that it gives it that bigger eye look. Because if you just kind of do it from underneath here, it's gonna make your eye look a little bit wonky. So look from like straight on in your mirror and then place it where it should go instead of where you think it goes, if that makes sense. And then I'm gonna bring this up on the side here and create a nice little wing like that. And then whatever's left on the brush, I'm just gonna cover my entire lid essentially with that. And then just blend this into the side of my eye in the inner corner here. Look at the difference between that. This one looks like, this one looks like. And this is where it gets difficult because you're gonna wanna try and make it look symmetrical as possible. So again, looking straight on, you can kind of use your brush as a guide. And this you'll get better at with practice. If you aren't sure, always go bigger and higher than what you initially would go with. With drag, bigger is always probably gonna be better.
That's what she said.
And then taking a clean finger, this finger right here, blend that in a little bit more, especially on the side here where it's meeting our black eyeshadow wing. We want to get it nice and smoothed out. Next, what we're going to do is I'm going to take a nice dense packing brush. This is the eyeshadow C brush, again from e.l.f. And I'm going to go in with the Stupid Love eyeshadow palette. We're going to take the shade 911, which is a very nice and packed white shade. A good drag artist should always have a good white and a good black. That's what those are the shades you're always going to use. You're going to use the most of. So I'm going to pack as much white as I can on this brush, and I'm going to start setting our crease with that white. I'm going to go in really lightly because I don't want to disturb any of the cream product or anything underneath it, but I'm also going to just make sure all that white is pressed into our crease so that not only we're getting a good base for us to put shadows on top of it, but that our cream does not move or does not crease later on. It's gonna crease a little bit, but we're trying to minimize that as much as possible. So once you make sure all that is set down, I'm gonna still go in with that white, and I'm just gonna pack underneath the brows and really enhance that white highlight. And then I'm also just gonna blend this a little bit more towards the center, towards our nose. Now I'm gonna take a fluffy brush, and I'm gonna go in back with that initial light blue shade, and just kind of touch up this blending we did on the outer corner here, because we kind of lost that a little bit. I'm gonna go back in with our taper brush and touch up the black as well. If I could find it. Oh, here it is. Now with your wings and the edges of your eyes, it's very tempting to want to follow the natural shape of where your eyes should go. But with this eye look, we want it to be a little bit more lifted and bring our eye up. And with my eyes specifically, they're a little bit downturned and they kind of go straight across as well. So if I were to just go like that, it wouldn't really give us that effect that we're looking for. So always try and make sure that you're angling upwards. Unless you're going for like a really sad clown look. The joke is written right here. It's fitting. Now I'm gonna take more of this black and start blending it onto our lid and our faux crease area. Then I'm gonna go in with that packing brush we used before in that same deeper blue 6 p.m. sky shade. I'm gonna start working on blending into our lid a little bit, and we can go in with some shimmers after that. One of the shades from the Stupid Love palette, Fun Tonight. I'm gonna go in with just any brush, it really doesn't matter. I'm gonna start adding some shimmer to our lid. I'm gonna try and stay away from this little line that we made up here, but kind of blend it in more towards the center. Oh yeah, that's really pretty. This is a really underrated eyeshadow palette, honestly. I use this all the time. And your instinct again is to want to go just only on your lid, but we're enlarging our eyes, so you want to go above your lid. So I think I'm done with that shade. So now I'm gonna go in with the initial blueberry palette. I'm gonna take this blue raspberry sparkly shade. Same brush. I'm gonna put that in a little bit closer to where the inner corner of our eye is. And that's really gonna give us a nice bright blue fantasy. That is actually super pretty. Wow. These kimchi palettes, they are awesome, I would say. And they're really affordable too. I think they're available in CVS as well, but if not, you can find them on their website or on TikTok Shop, I think. Really pigmented, they blend super easily, and they're super affordable. How can you go wrong? Kimchi Shake, sponsor me. Once we're done with the blueberry shade on our lid, I'm gonna take a little bit, not the blueberry, the blue raspberry shade, the shimmer one, you know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna take a little bit and put that on the bottom part here, because I think that's really pretty. I want a little bit of shimmer on the bottom here. I'm taking that same smudge thinner packing brush for this bottom portion here. Now I'm gonna take a smaller tapered brush, more like a pencil brush, and I'm gonna go in again with our Stupid Love palette, and I'm gonna take the silver shade, which is Free Woman, just gonna pack that onto the brush, and I'm gonna use that to just blend that into our final bit of our inner corner and blend that into our white crease that we made. I'm just gonna blend that into that blue raspberry as well. And if your shimmers aren't showing up the way you want to, you can either set your brush with some setting spray and kind of spray it on there first, then dip into your shadows and then put it on your face, or you can spray it your setting spray directly onto your face and then put your shimmer on. It'll probably show up a little bit better that way. Now we're going to work on our liquid eyeliner, and I use the Epic Ink liner from NYX. What I do is with our eyeliner here, I rest my elbow on the table, and then I'm gonna turn my pen to the side, and I'm gonna follow where we put our black. I'm gonna angle it upwards, following direction of where we did our liner with our white. So it almost creates that like triangular wing shape. So I start with the bottom line first, and then bring my pen in, and then again on the side, a bit straight, and then just kind of tilt my head in, and I'm just gonna fill that all in. The reason we put down so much black, if you mess up on your wing or it's not super sharp, it's not as noticeable, and it's really gonna give us that blended, smoky look. I'm gonna take the pen again from my bottom portion of my eye. I'm gonna start where we made our faux inner corner, taking the tip of the pen, and again, kind of tilt my head instead of tilting the pen, and then just connect the bottom to the top, and then just kind of fill that in a little bit more. I'm letting the tip of the pen be able to create our nice and defined points. And then same thing on the other side. Now, what I'm gonna do is work on the inner corner of my eye. So I'm just gonna shake up my pen a little bit more, get a little bit more product on our brush, our bruschetta. Now, instead of going all around my eye, what I'm gonna start out with first is creating our faux inner corner. So instead of where my inner corner naturally is, I'm gonna go more towards my tear duct, and I'm gonna create a nice little cat eye point, kind of following the same shape of where our outer eyeliner goes. And then I'm gonna take the pen and kind of line this top portion here just a little bit. That's gonna give us that nice cat eye look. And then same thing on this side, going in more towards our tear duct, getting a nice triangular shape, and then lining the top part of our eye just a little bit. And again, look at your face from all angles, make sure everything is looking just how you want it to. Make sure all your lines are connected and everything is angling upwards. And I'm not super worried about looking my eyeliner looking sharp because I wear bigger lashes, so it makes everything look a little bit more blended anyways. But I am at a stage where I really like it. So I'm gonna go in with our white liner now. So this is the Vivid Matte Liquid White Liner from NYX. I don't love this one, it works fine. I think I prefer the other one, the Epic Ink one, I think that one is. But this one I got just to try. But if anyone has any other white eyeliner recommendations that work really well, let me know. I want something that's like paint essentially. But I'm gonna create our, again, faux inner corner. That's really gonna open up our eyes more and really change our eye shape. So I'm basically filling in that gap that's between our eyeshadow that we put down and our black wing that we did just a bit ago. Look at the difference between the two. I am so pretty. Oh my gosh, I'm doing such a great job. If you wanted to, if you don't want to get yourself a white liner, you could also go back in with that cream stick, either like a thin liner brush or like a small concealer brush, and you can do this as well, and then just pack it with some white eyeshadow, especially if you're doing like a bigger eye look, like something like Trixie or Kim's or Dawn's.
It's done.
That might be a little bit easier, but for doing something small like this, a white liner would work perfectly. And this one I don't necessarily love just because I think it creases a little bit more and it dries a little bit weird, but I will say it's a lot easier to get off than the other white liner. I feel like this one's just too crumbly for my liking. And don't worry if it gets on your black eyeliner, because you can always go over it. And that's how you ensure that all your lines and stuff stay nice and sharp. All right, I'm gonna throw on some mascara and some lashes really quickly. The mascara I use, I just wanna ensure that my lashes are coated black. So this is a like $3 or $4 Essence mascara, because I just care about making sure that my lashes are black, because my lashes are pretty big for like a normal person, so that's gonna do all the work really for me. And these are some custom lashes that I made. I stacked 2 pairs together. One's like a smaller, or a dry clean, smaller type of lash that are a little bit fuller, and then the ones on the outer part are more like upward and they're a lot longer, but they create that like kind of spiky look almost. And then I cut them to create that cat eye shape. And I like that because it gives me the fullness that I wanted and it kind of blends everything together. So if your lashes aren't working for you or they don't look right, try stacking some and just kind of cutting things around and create something that you do like. And then I'm gonna stick it more towards not where my natural lash line is, because then that's gonna make my eye look like it's gonna make it go down a little bit more. I'm gonna try and angle it up and then bring it out more. And lashes, in my opinion, are the hardest thing to do. So I never get them right. And it helps to let the glue dry a little bit, because it's really gonna stick to your face. Otherwise, the wet lash glue is just gonna like keep everything all slippy sloppy. But you can already see the difference that it makes. It kind of blends things out a little bit more and it just helps make the eye look a little bit bolder. But one thing I am gonna do is kind of fill in the gaps of where my lashes just aren't wanting to stick with some eyeliner. Anywhere that I can see that's not really as black as I would want it to be. I'm gonna do the other side off camera and I will be right back. Once you have your other set of lashes on, we're gonna do a little bit more blush because I want things to be a little bit brighter. So I'm gonna go in with this donut palette again. I'm gonna take a nice fluffy blending brush. I'm gonna go in with the shade Soda Pop, which is an almost watermelon pink type of shade.
Girl, it's fucking pink.
And I'm really gonna blend this into my cheeks a little bit more. So it kind of saturates it a little bit more. And again, I'm kind of concentrating it more towards the outer parts of my face. And it really kind of gives me that lifted look that I like. I'm gonna do a little bit on the temples up here. And then I'm gonna really pack that in on the button part of my nose that I created. And this kind of work it on the sides a little bit with the excess, just to give us that really pink looking nose. Now, what we're gonna work on is defining some of our brow hair. I'm gonna take the NYX Lift and Snatch brow pen in the shade Ash Brown, and I'm gonna start working on defining the brow hairs. So I'm gonna do a little bit more sparse on the edge here, and then kind of fill it out a little bit more towards the end. So taking it, I just kind of do that little motion, and it really gives us that like natural brow look compared to that. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take a little liner brush. This one is from Morphe. It's the M443. I'm gonna go in one last time with our cream white. I'm gonna take a little bit and we're gonna work on our nose highlight. More towards where my natural brow bone, this part here, between the brow and my nose. I'm gonna take it, I'm just gonna hold my arm steady with the tip of the brush close to my nose, bring it down a little bit, just enough right there. Take a clean finger, blend that a little bit more. Gonna create the little dot at the end of my nose, blend that out a little bit more. And then we're gonna go in with our white liner. I'm just gonna do a nice bright dot in the center, just to create that butt nose illusion. And then a little bit with more of that white liner. Just gonna keep it more towards the top here, and just gonna do a couple little bit of dots and lines. Take my finger and just kind of diffuse that a little bit. I'm gonna go in with a lighter brow pen. This one is from ColourPop, and this I'm gonna use to create some fake freckles on my face. This you can use like a freckle pen or just some brown eyeshadow. Blend that out with my finger, and then just kind of diffuse it out when I get closer to my cheek. Work up the side of my nose a little bit. And I like this because it kind of dries down a little bit lighter than it first goes on. And these you don't have to worry about being perfect because freckles aren't perfect, but they make you perfect. Now I'm going to take some setting spray, and I'm just gonna do one initial kind of spritz of everything. Then I'm gonna go in with a highlighter. This is from the old bronzer duo from House Labs. I'm gonna go in with this highlighter shade, aptly titled Dawn.
It's Dawn.
I'm gonna take it with my finger, press that into the side a little bit, to get our initial highlight started. We have a nice little glow. Then I'm gonna take a small little blending brush. I'm gonna go in with the Stupid Love palette, and then in the shade Light Up here, it's a nice shimmery white. And then I'm gonna concentrate that where I would normally put my highlight. Because we're going for that really icy look, so I kind of want more of a like white highlight almost. And then just keep layering that up until you get something that really gives you the effect that you're looking for. I'm just gonna take a little bit of whatever's left on that brush. I'm gonna go in on the tip of my nose, bridge here, and then just a little bit in the center of my forehead. And then do I dare? Do I dare dabble? So let's have some fun here. I have this duochrome, they're the Infinite Chrome Flakes from Danessa Myricks Cosmetics. This is in the shade Moonlight. It's a blue, purple, iridescent reflect to it. I'm gonna take a small flat brush. I'm gonna take a little bit of this and put that on my lid. It's kind of hard to see with the lashes, but I should have done this before, but I wasn't thinking right. I'm gonna blend this out a little bit, and I think I'm gonna put a little bit on the bottom as well, so you guys can kind of see it better. Like, look at that, that's so pretty. I think I'm gonna drag it down a little bit. Almost look like we're crying icicles. Now that we're all done with those, we're gonna work on our lips, and that's really gonna tie everything together. It's really gonna give us that full fantasy that we're looking for. I'm going to go in first with this NYX Line Loud Lip Pencil. This is in the shade Trophy Life, I think. I'm gonna start working on lining my lips. If you don't have a lip liner, eyeshadows work really well too, but I wanna try using these a little bit more. So what I'm gonna do is, where my lip naturally starts, I'm gonna go in a little bit more, kind of angle it up above where my lip is. It's kind of hard to do while talking, so what I did was overblend them a little bit and kind of created a more pouty look to my lips just by bringing them in a little bit more. I give myself just a tiny cupid's bow. And for my bottom lips, I'm gonna kind of do the same thing, bring them in a little bit more, not necessarily following where my natural lip shape is. And then where this kind of creases, where my bottom part of my lip meets my chin, I'm gonna put the bottom part of my lip liner there. And make sure all that is nice and straight and even. Fill in the lips a little bit, just to get everything nice and blended. I think we're gonna take this NYX Liquid Suede lipstick. I don't know if they make these anymore. If not, the ones that have the Lingerie XSL, these ones are really good too. They smell really good too. But these ones I bought when they were kind of, I think they stopped making them, so I bought a couple of them. But this is in the shade Life's a Beach, and I'm just gonna put that kind of more towards the outer part of this and blending that into my lip liner and smack my lips together a little bit just to blend that in. Then I'm gonna take this lighter nude shade. These are the Maybelline Superstay Matte Inks. These I think are the best liquid lipsticks, especially for drag. They stay on forever, especially when trying to take your makeup off. They are not gonna come off, honestly. And they also smell really good too. They also make a wet, shiny one as well. It's like a dupe for the House Labs ones. I actually have one of the House Labs lipstick. I've tried these before. Oh my god, they really don't lie when they say that it's gonna give you that wet look without being tacky or sticky or anything. It really gives you that shiny, wet look without, like, it's not gonna move. But these can be a little bit more expensive. So if you're wanting a dupe, go for the Maybelline Vinyl Ink ones. Those ones are really good too. For our matte look today, I'm gonna take in this lighter nude called Poet. I'm gonna focus that more towards the inner part of my face. Yeah, this one, it smells like icing, like buttercream, like frosting. Gonna blend that in a little bit more. And then I think for one last touch, I'm just gonna go in back with our pink glittery shade. I'm just gonna press that onto my lips as well. And I think we are just about done. I'm gonna go throw on my outfit that I have, give myself a nice hairdo, and we will be showing off our final look. So, and in 3, 2, 1, bam. And we are all done. What do we think? I feel so pretty, honestly. Paired it up with this really cool silver wig. If you watched my last makeup tutorial, this is the same wig, and also look at how much my makeup has improved since then. And I paired it with just the simple white bodysuit, some white gloves, and these cute little earmuffs. But yeah, this is our nice little icy cold girl bitch look. But yeah, what do we all think? Don't I look pretty? Don't I look gorgeous? You can all say it down in the comments below. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed learning how to do some drag makeup a la Dollyboy. If you decide to recreate this look or follow along with any of my tricks, make sure you either tag me on Instagram or on Twitter at Dollyboy xoxo. You can also give me a follow over there as well. I post lots of fun content and all of my makeup looks and drag looks and all fast performances and everything. You can also find that on my YouTube channel right here. You can hit that subscribe button down below. While you're down there, might as well go like the video and comment what you think of this makeup look. You can comment how pretty I am, how much you love me, comment any other looks that you want to see. If you have any questions regarding makeup tips or anything like that. There's a hair memo. Oh, I will see you all in the next one. Bye. Again, look at this, like, duochrome. Like, have you ever met a more frosty bitch than me? Probably. But I look pretty.
Firmly grasp it!
It's Dawn.